Let's talk about tech history, Jonathan.
Oh, yeah. This week we're covering the August 23rd to the 29th.
What's
And
first on our list?
first off, we have Mac OS 10.2 Jaguar released.
You know, for the longest time, they had Mac OS X, or Mac OS 10. And what they kept on doing was just kept on giving it these code names. And so 10.2 was Jaguar. And it was released in 2002. I think just late last year or early this year, they released Mac 11, OS 11. And so Mac OS 10 is no longer, unless you have like old equipment that can't handle Mac OS 11. No, nobody's really using Mac OS 10 anymore. Everybody should have upgraded by now.
It looks so chic in its Jaguar print.
Yeah, it does. It sure does.
All right. Next up, we have another battle between Apple and Microsoft, August 24th.
Apple loses to Microsoft in court. Perhaps the most famous lawsuit in technology history is decided for Microsoft. Apple claimed that Microsoft Windows violated their copyrights on the visual displays of the Macintosh. The judge in the case ruled that most of the claims were covered by the 1985 license agreement. I wonder what that 1985 license agreement was. Other claims were not violations of copyright due to the merger doctrine. Man, there's a lot of legal terminology here that I just don't understand, which basically states that ideas cannot be copyrighted. Oh, look at that. So an idea cannot be copyrighted. That is...
I think it might be about the like the display screen, no? Like how we've talked about this before, but we didn't have like an official date for it. How Microsoft copied Apple's like OS kind of thing.
The point and click of mouse using and stuff like that. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. Or it says visual displays, so I don't know. It's pretty vague.
Yeah. We did talk about this, and it was because Apple had taken the idea from Xerox, and then Windows or Microsoft took the idea from Apple. And it's like, well, you took it from Xerox, so we're just taking it from you, and there's nothing that you could do about it. And sure enough, the court decided, Apple, there's nothing you could do about it. Cool. What else do we got?
Another one on August 24th, Windows 95 released.
What? Look at that.
2 years after their lawsuit.
Was it because, I guess before that was Windows 3.1.1 or something, or Windows 3, and then Windows 95 came. That's crazy. More than 1 million copies sold in the first 4 days of its release. Wow, that is crazy. Do you remember Windows 95?
Oh, yeah.
Wait, you were 2 years old. How can you remember?
I looked familiar. Like I'm pretty sure I've seen that symbol somewhere.
I think you started using computers when Windows 98 came out.
Oh, okay.
Because you were already like, by the time you guys were in kindergarten, man, I had you guys suited up with your own computer.
Yeah.
Remember we ended up buying 2 little desktops that were like, they were stacked up. So
it was just a stack of computer. Yeah.
Yeah. So your tower was on the bottom. Your tower was on the bottom, or was it a case?
It was on the bottom, I think.
The tower was on the bottom, then was your keyboard, and then your monitor, which was huge. And then your printer was on top, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And we ended up buying like two desks identical because your rooms were small, and one sat between your two beds, you and your brother, and then the other one sat at the foot of your brother's bed.
Mhm.
And then you guys would sit there and play against each other
Yep.
on your own computers with backs facing each other, so you guys couldn't see what's on each other's screen.
Those were the days.
Yes, they were big old CRT monitors. These young kids don't know what a CRT is anymore. Cool.
All right. Next up, we have August 24th again. Steve Jobs resigns as Apple CEO.
So on the same day of 1995, Windows 95 was released. And what is that, 16 years later, on the day that Windows 95 was released, Steve Jobs resigns.
Wow.
I wonder, he resigned or was he fired?
I'm pretty sure he was resigned. He resigned.
This was after he came back, right?
Yeah.
He came back and then, oh, you know why?
He was getting sick or something, wasn't he?
Yes, this is because he passed away shortly after, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he passed away 43 days later. Yeah, so he resigned due to health conditions.
Well, yeah, he passed away 43 days later. It says at the bottom.
Yeah, on
For
October 5th.
Wow.
Wow. That's crazy. Can you imagine? I mean, just your health has just gone down the hill, and you got to go resign. That'd be, I don't know.
Crazy.
Yeah, that is crazy. Sorry about that, Steve.
All right. On August 26th, first use of a tape recorder in radio.
You know what a tape recorder is?
They record on tape, like a set, right?
This was I think this was not your tape recorder like you remember it. It wasn't like a cassette tape. This was 1938 when they had big reels of tape to record. That's pretty crazy. But wait a second. Okay, so they used a tape recorder for the first time. The tape recorder was used for Philips Miller recording system. It was known as the Miller tape, invented by James Arthur Miller. So does this mean that they pre-recorded it, and then they broadcast it?
I think so.
From the tape?
Yeah.
Because I know they do that a lot nowadays. They pre-record shows and then they just air them from the tape. Kind of cool.
All right. Next up, we have August 27th, the world's largest battery backup.
What? Oh my goodness.
Those are all batteries
Apparently so.
in Alaska. Whoa.
The city of Fairbanks, Alaska. This was the world's largest battery backup, designed to help prevent serious blackouts that plague the city every 2 or 3 years. Oh, wow, look at this. They could power the whole city for a few minutes, enough to start up the city's backup diesel generators.
Wow.
You know what's interesting? In the late 90s, early 2000s, data centers began to pop up, right? And so you had big companies like Google, Yahoo, Autobytel, Microsoft. They would go and rent space, right? So they would rent like a 10 by 10 square, and they would have gates to protect their computers. And what these data centers guaranteed was that they wouldn't lose power. And so they had, not only did they have like a local battery, like a UPS, UPC or UPS, uninterrupted power supply is what UPS stands for. So they would have a UPS locally in the 10 by 10 square while the batteries came online. So if there was some kind of delay with the batteries, these little UPS units in their 10 by 10 square would take over. And then these batteries that were outside of the data center would power the whole building while they powered up the diesel engines. And then they had like three, like I want to say like the big barrels of diesel. They had, some of them had two stacked on top of each other, or some of them had three of them, but they had like a whole parking lot wall of just diesel fuel.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, it
They were
was,
prepared.
they were, yeah. Well, that was one of the things, is that, you know, they promised zero downtime, unless there was like an actual atomic bomb that exploded the place. But yeah, they guaranteed, you know, zero downtime, and this was the only way that they can do it. So, and it looks like Alaska just topped it all right there. That's crazy. And cool at the same time.
And crazy. Cool. August 28th, the next one, Snow Leopard released at the end of Apple Talk.
Yeah, so this was oh wow, look at this. They released in August, it looks like, all the updates for Mac OS 10.
Oh, wow.
Snow Leopard. That's pretty cool. Apple Talk was also discontinued in, what was Apple Talk? I guess that was kind of like their messaging system. You know, there was one on the list that I want to go back to.
Sure.
August 25th.
The birth of Linux.
Linux. Remember Tux?
Oh, yeah.
Tux the penguin. He became the mascot for Linux. So what was interesting about this, okay, back in 1991, they would create news groups. I mean, you still needed to like dial into somewhere, but you know, there was news groups and you could dial into the news group, and then this is how you would chat with other people. And he posted his first announcement of saying, hey, I have an operating system that one day will become Linux. And I think, let me see, posted a message in news group, subject, what would you like to see most in Linux? So he took, I guess he took the ideal of Linux, which was like a clone or a copy of Unix. Unix was like this operating system that corporations, enterprise level corporations would use. And so another guy created Minix, which was for your home use. And then Linus Torvald came up with Linux, and the guy named it after himself, except he put Linux instead of Linus.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, I kind of wanted to give tribute to Linux because we actually installed Linux in one of the first few episodes, remember?
Yeah.
Ubuntu Linux. Cool.
I think that's it for tech history.
All right. Until next time, peace.
Peace.